I used to think the wedding day was the peak, the emotional mountaintop, the moment you seal a promise with forever, before finding out forever was already crowded. And mine? It was perfect. A late summer evening, warm air with just enough breeze to flutter my veil. The string quartet played the intro to Can't Help Falling in Love as I stepped down the aisle. All eyes were on me, but I only saw one, Daniel's, my soon-to-be husband. His mouth fell open when he saw me, and his eyes misted. Everyone said it was the look of a man madly in love. I believed it. God, I believed every second of it. It wasn't until 4 weeks later, barefoot in our kitchen, with the smell of his cologne still lingering in the air, that the illusion cracked like glass under pressure. But I'll get to that. First, there was the reception, the laughter, the clinking of champagne glasses, his best man giving a wildly inappropriate speech, my dad tearing up during the father-daughter dance. I thought, this is it. This is what peace feels like. After a life of small betrayals and mediocre dates and feeling like I was always settling for scraps of affection, I finally had something real. Or so I thought. We flew to Santorini for our honeymoon, took photos on cliffs with blue domes behind us. He held my hand like he never wanted to let go. We made love like we had all the time in the world. There were little things, the way he flinched when I asked to post certain photos, or how he got oddly quiet when I mentioned visiting his hometown later that year. But nothing that raised alarm bells, not yet. Looking back, I see the cracks I missed, tiny fissures under the surface. We'd been home for a week when I first got the DM. It was from a name I recognized, Lily. Not Lily from work or Lily from the gym. Lily, as in Daniel's childhood best friend. The girl he said was practically a sister, but always dodged too many questions about. The message was brief. Hey, can we talk? It's important. About Daniel. I stared at it for 10 minutes, heart racing. Then I did something I normally wouldn't, I replied. We met for coffee. Neutral territory. She was jittery, pale. Her fingers trembled as she wrapped them around her paper cup. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a bitch, she said, but you need to know. She took out her phone, scrolled through photos, messages, dates, my wedding date among them. I've been sleeping with him, she whispered, for years, even before you got engaged, even the week before your wedding. I didn't move. I didn't blink. It felt like my soul had quietly stood up and walked out the door. I thought he'd stop, she continued. He said he loved me. He said you were just the safer option. I stood and left without a word. Back home, I sat at the kitchen counter, the ring still heavy on my finger. My world didn't explode in that moment. No tears, no screams, just a cold, burning stillness. I didn't tell him. Not right away. Instead, I smiled. I kissed him goodnight. I asked about his day. I folded his laundry and made dinner like nothing was wrong, because I had decided in that coffee shop, with Lily's lies or truths spilling out like poison, that I was not going to be the fool in this story. He thought he could lie to me, betray me, then sleep next to me, with the nerve to call me his everything. Fine. He wanted to play games? I'd show him what it felt like to lose. But I needed time. I needed to be precise, because this wasn't going to be some emotional outburst. I wasn't going to scream at him in the middle of the night or throw his clothes on the lawn. I'd played the docile wife long enough. It was time to act. But first, I had to learn. I had to see just how far this betrayal went. And what Daniel didn't know was that I could smile like I forgave him for forgetting to buy oat milk, while quietly plotting the most beautiful disaster he'd ever experienced. So I played the part. I was sweet, software, curious. Do you still talk to Lily? I asked casually one night, head on his chest. He stiffened, just slightly, enough to notice. Not really. She moved. Got engaged, I think. Good for her, I whispered. She always seemed sweet. Inside, I wanted to claw his eyes out. Instead, I started gathering, slowly, carefully. Phone records, cloud backups, old messages he hadn't deleted. I checked his location history from shared apps. Noticed some lies about late nights at work that didn't line up. I even started keeping a burner phone, notes app, a digital paper trail he couldn't erase. because I wasn't going to just leave. I was going to destroy the man who took my heart and dragged it through the mud while still smiling in wedding photos. And the best part? He had no idea. Not yet. It's funny how easy it is to pretend everything's fine when you're quietly preparing for war. Daniel would brush past me in the hallway, kiss my cheek, and mumble, "Love you, babe." And I'd smile, say it back, all the while imagining what his face would look like when I turned his perfect little world inside out. I had time. That was the most precious thing. Time and access. His passwords, his calendar, his trust. So I started documenting. Lily was more helpful than she probably should have been. Maybe out of guilt, or maybe just to feel like she was still part of the drama. She sent screenshots, text threads, voicemails. One of them was from the day before our wedding. He told her, "It's not real, it's just for show." That one, I saved in 4 different folders. I was angry, yes. But more than anything, I was focused. Every moment with him became a study. What he said, how he said it, the gaps in his stories. I knew how to nod in all the right places. I knew when to cry over our future so he'd feel safe. I even started asking about having kids. That nearly made me gag, but it worked. It made him relax, lower his guard. "Maybe we should start trying next year," he said one night, his hand on my stomach. "A little girl would look just like you?" I smiled and kissed him. Then I went into the bathroom and threw up. That night, I installed a discreet keylogger on his laptop, checked his social media, DMs. He was still talking to Lily, under a fake name, of course. Just in case, he had told her. Clever boy. He also messaged a few other women. Nothing major. Flirty messages, late-night likes. I filed them away too. Every little piece helped, because this wasn't just about cheating. This was about humiliation, about how he dragged me through years of lies and stole my joy. This was about every time I looked in the mirror and wondered if I was enough. It was about the thousands of tiny betrayals, the ones I didn't even notice until the truth slapped me in the face. And if he wanted to play dirty, well, I could get dirtier. I started planning my revenge the same way we'd planned our wedding, with spreadsheets. One folder was labeled Freedom Fund. Every week, I stashed a little cash. I started working late, which really meant meeting with a divorce lawyer who specialized in strategic exits. Another folder was labeled Exposure. It included screenshots, emails, and, my personal favorite, a voice memo of Lily and me talking, where she admitted, "He told me you were boring, that marrying you was for stability, not passion." I made sure the date and time were visible. Then there was the final folder, the event. Because what better way to expose him than during a renewal party? Yes, I planned a fake anniversary vow renewal, only 6 weeks into our marriage. I called it a celebration of our love, pitched it as something small, just close friends and family. A brunch, casual, heartfelt. Daniel, ever the narcissist, loved the idea. "Let's show people how solid we are," he said, grinning. "It'll make Lily lose her mind." I almost laughed. "Oh, honey, Lily's already involved." I invited everyone. His coworkers, my cousins, his parents, my mother, who never liked Daniel but showed up for the photos. Even Lily. Yes, I invited her. She agreed, without hesitation. "Just let me know what to wear." "Oh, don't worry," I told her. "You'll stand out no matter what." The week leading up to the renewal was a masterclass in deception. I let Daniel pick out new vows. He spent an hour writing them, talking about second chances and deepening love. I picked out a dress, white again, because I could. The venue was small, intimate. A garden space behind a local art gallery. It was perfect. Flowers everywhere, warm lighting, soft jazz playing in the background. Everyone arrived on time, including Lily, in a sleek black dress and sunglasses, like she was attending a funeral. And in a way, she was. Daniel beamed as we took our places in front of the arch. He gave his speech first, said he was the luckiest man alive, said love was about loyalty and trust. I nearly choked on my own tongue. Then it was my turn. I took the mic, smiled sweetly, and said, "Daniel, I want to thank you. Not just for the past 6 weeks, but for the 6 years of lies, gaslighting, and betrayal. For the nights I cried alone while you texted Lily about how boring I was. For the 2-week gap between your affair and our honeymoon. For the way you said marrying me was just for stability. The room fell silent. Daniel laughed nervously. Babe, what are you doing? I turned to the crowd. You all deserve to know the truth. This isn't a vow renewal. This is a goodbye party. Daniel has been cheating on me for years with his childhood friend Lily, who is here, by the way. Gasps. Someone actually dropped a champagne flute. And before you try to deny it, I said, holding up my phone, I have voice memos, messages, and his location history. He even messaged 2 of you, I added, looking directly at his friend's wife and another woman in the back. Color drained from his face. People started whispering. You said you wanted passion, Daniel, I said, voice cool. How's this for passion? And with that, I dropped the mic, literally. Then I walked out. The last thing I heard behind me was his mother yelling his full name. Outside, the air felt different, lighter. I could finally breathe. Lily followed me out a few minutes later. You were incredible. I looked at her. Don't confuse this with forgiveness. She nodded. I know. Daniel tried to call me that night, 6 times. Left voicemails. You didn't have to do it like that, he said in one. But oh, I did. Because sometimes vengeance isn't loud. It's methodical, beautiful, surgical. And mine? It had only just begun. People think revenge ends when you deliver the final blow. But that's not true. It ends when the ripple effects finally catch up to the person who thought they were untouchable. And Daniel? He'd spent years standing on the shore, throwing stones into my life. He never thought the waves would reach him. But now he was drowning. After the vow-turned-expose party, the fallout was immediate. The gossip hit our social circles like wildfire. Friends messaged me with wide-eyed emojis and OMG, are you okay? Texts. Some were supportive. Some were fake as hell. I didn't care. I wasn't doing this for sympathy. Daniel, however, cared very much about optics, and they were not in his favor. His boss's wife had been there. Turns out Daniel had tried to flirt with her after a corporate retreat. That little tidbit, paired with everything I revealed during the ceremony, made for a scandal his job couldn't ignore. By Monday, he was put on leave. By Wednesday, he was unemployed. Oops. And then there was Lily. Sweet, self-destructive Lily, who had finally stepped out of the shadows and into the line of fire. Daniel showed up at her place 2 days later, pounding on her door. I know this because she texted me in real time. Him, you told her? Her, she already knew. She's not stupid. Him, you ruined my life. Her, no, you did. For once she was right. He tried to spin the story, of course. Told mutual friends that I blew things out of proportion. Said it was just one mistake. Claimed Lily was obsessed with him and lied to break us up. But people weren't buying it. Not after I released the receipts. Oh yes, there were receipts. I posted a carefully worded open letter on social media. No drama, no shouting. Just facts, screenshots, dates, locations. A blurred out voice memo transcript, enough to be irrefutable. And the best part? I never named names. But everyone knew. His sister blocked him. His best friend, the best man, sent me a message saying, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. He's on his own now. Apparently, the golden boy couldn't golden his way out of this one. But that wasn't the end. Because I still hadn't dealt with the money. See, we had a joint account. Dumb, I know. But I had made sure the bulk of my income stayed in a separate one. I kept it clean, legal. Didn't touch what wasn't mine. But Daniel? He'd used our shared money for everything. Fancy dinners with Lily, hotel stays, even bought her an Apple Watch. Yes, I had the receipt. He forgot to change the shipping address once. So I filed for an annulment. Not a divorce, an annulment, on grounds of fraud. And I had every scrap of documentation needed to back it up. My lawyer, bless her, a literal savage in heels, delivered the petition with a smile. He's going to piss himself, she said. She wasn't wrong. Daniel tried to call me again after that. I didn't pick up. So he tried email. Subject, please don't do this, body. I know I messed up. But we can talk, right? You're not this cold. Please. I didn't respond, but I forwarded it to my lawyer just in case. Meanwhile, Lily was unraveling. Apparently, she thought this would end with Daniel finally choosing her. He didn't. He ghosted her, deleted her number, blocked her everywhere. Real Romeo, that one. She showed up at his apartment one night, where he was staying with a cousin now since the lease was in my name, and caused a scene. The cops were called. Nothing major, just enough to give the neighbors a story for the week. I wish I could say I felt bad. I didn't. 2 weeks after the event, I started packing up what was left in the apartment. My friends came to help. Tina brought donuts, Jess brought wine, and Celine brought her Bluetooth speaker and played Beyoncé on a loop. We laughed more than we cried. Every picture frame that came off the wall felt like a weight lifted. Every box I sealed felt like a quiet victory. But it wasn't until I stood in the bedroom, the one we'd shared, that it hit me. The betrayal wasn't just about sex. It was about how easily he looked me in the eyes every day and lied. How he let me plan our future while secretly building one with someone else. How he let me fall deeper and deeper, knowing the ground beneath me was hollow. That's what broke me, in the end. Not the cheating, not even the humiliation, the ease of it, the silence between the lies. I moved into a smaller apartment near my office. New bedding, new dishes, no reminders of him. I started therapy. I went back to yoga. I bought a plant I didn't name after a man. And little by little, I started to feel human again. Meanwhile, Daniel's name started to fade from conversations. He'd been replaced at work. Friends stopped mentioning him. He'd become what he never thought he'd be, irrelevant. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks about it all. If he lies awake at night, replaying the moment I held up the mic and burned it all down. If he tells himself he didn't deserve it, but I know better. He made his choices. I simply lit the match. It's strange how peace doesn't arrive with a bang, but a whisper. Quiet mornings, a calm heart, silence. Not because something's missing, but because the chaos is finally gone. It had been 3 months since I walked out on Daniel. The annulment was finalized 2 weeks ago. I got to keep my name, my savings, and most importantly, my dignity. His name? Well, it was still floating around group chats like a ghost story. Did you hear what he did to her? I heard he's living with a friend, can't find work. She torched him at their fake vow renewal. Like, mic drop level scorched. I didn't correct anyone. Let the legend grow. Some nights, I still felt it, the grief. Not over losing him, but over losing what I thought I had. The man I believed in. The life I thought I was building. It's a kind of mourning, isn't it? When the future dies before it ever arrives. But even grief has a timeline. And mine was almost up. Then he sent me a letter, handwritten, no return address, slid under my apartment door like a guilty secret. The envelope was cheap, the handwriting familiar in the worst way, like seeing a ghost wearing a suit of someone you used to love. Inside, 2 pages, no salutation, just his thoughts. I'm sorry, not just for what I did, but for how easy it was. I keep thinking about your face when I read those vows, how happy you looked, how you smiled like I was your whole world. I didn't deserve that. Lily's gone. I haven't spoken to her since you exposed everything. She tried to tell me we could still have something, but I couldn't even look at her. I keep replaying what you said in front of everyone, that I married you for stability, not passion. The worst part is, I think that's true. You were everything real, and I treated you like a safety net. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know, I never stopped loving you. Even when I was too broken to show it, I'll regret what I did for the rest of my life. Daniel, I read it twice. Then once more, just to be sure. Then I set it on fire in my kitchen sink. No rage, no drama, just a small, steady flame. As the paper curled and darkened, I whispered to the ashes, loving me would have meant protecting me. You did the opposite. I washed my hands. That was the last time I thought about him as a part of my life. From that moment on, Daniel became a lesson, not a memory. There was one last thing to do, the video. I hadn't released it yet, the one of Ruth and Lily at the hotel bar, toasting to ending the wedding and getting the girl in. I'd saved it just in case Daniel ever tried to play the victim. And it turns out he had. Someone forwarded me a message thread he'd sent to a mutual friend, the usual pity tour. She blindsided me. She was unstable. I had to walk away. The friend, who was once in Daniel's corner, had grown a spine and asked for my side. I didn't respond. I uploaded the video instead, a Google Drive link, no captions, just the clip. And then I waited. It only took 4 hours. The friend messaged me back. I didn't believe it before. But now, screw him. You're a damn hero. After that, I stopped hearing about Daniel altogether. And I didn't care. I started going on walks again. Started dating. Not seriously, just learning to talk to people without bracing for betrayal. I got a dog. A rescue mutt with a limp and more emotional depth than most of my exes. I named her Cleo. She sits with me while I read, sleeps by my feet while I journal. The apartment feels less like an escape now, and more like a sanctuary. One night, months later, I ran into someone from the vow renewal party. A woman I didn't know well. Daniel's cousin, I think. She stopped me outside a bookstore. Hey, I just wanted to say, that day, what you did, that was badass. I smiled, a little surprised. She leaned in and whispered, if I ever get cheated on, I hope I have your kind of fire. I laughed. Not out of pride, but something softer. Something like freedom. Sometimes I reread the vows I wrote for that day. The ones I would have said if he hadn't been a liar in a tuxedo. They said things like, I promise to love you even when you make mistakes. I promise to choose you every single day. You are my home. And here's the thing, I don't regret writing them because they weren't for him. Not really. They were a mirror, a reminder of what I deserve, of the loyalty I gave and the honesty I carried like armor. One day, maybe I'll give those vows to someone who deserves them. But until then, I'm choosing me every single day. And that is the real love story.